All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Sunday, June 8th. Fucking, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live in studio. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. Clayton, so big weekend we're going to go through this right here. Ballerina opening weekend. And listen, we are YouTubers. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
So if you're watching us right now, you're seeing we're both sporting Cinema United hats. We've mentioned these hats. The great Jeff Bach of Exhibit Relations Co. sent us these hats.
Yes.
These are, of course, from CinemaCon.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I don't want to put the cart before the horse, make an announcement here before we've got our, tickets and everything. But
Don't put all our eggs in one basket?
I would say put all the eggs in one
Okay.
basket because eggs are breakable and you split them amongst different baskets.
Yeah.
Then you're breaking eggs all in different baskets. It's a
Yeah.
huge pain in the neck. Put all your eggs in one basket. Here's what I want to say. CinemaCon 2026 in Vegas. The BO Boys, we got to do this.
Are we taking our talents to Vegas for this?
I think we have to take our talents to Vegas. I mean, comment below in the YouTube if you want to see us in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to do this. I think it's time. We got the hats already. That's like half the battle. Is
Absolutely.
having the hats.
Yeah.
And so have you? When is your last Vegas experience? And we're going to get into the box office. We're getting into Ballerina, but just quick some guy talk right up front here. Great radio. What is your Vegas situation? Vegas history? Are you allowed back? Did you have a disgraceful event in Vegas? What's going on with you and Las Vegas?
No, I mean, I was in Vegas, I guess, last year. Was it last summer or was that last summer?
Of course, that's right. You had a very special business trip
Yes,
to Vegas,
yes.
of course.
Went
And
to the Sphere.
right.
Yeah.
And you would be allowed back. There was any kind of big controversial happenings.
The only way to find out is to step foot across that state line.
Wow.
Because who knows?
All right. So, I mean, listen, it's going to be a year-long story. But the BO Boys, I think we.
What about you? Are you not? Are you?
Oh, I've been many times, and I'm going to be welcomed with open arms.
Okay.
Yeah. I expect the whole suite. The treatment. Hey, Mr. Pat. Right this way, sir. Right this way. Here's some chips on the house. That type of thing.
Nice.
Yeah. That's what I expect.
Okay.
So, better be.
So I'm on the borderline, but you're going to be received with open arms.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and you'll be with me. So unless you do something between now and then that really, pees me off, then
I should be okay.
Then you should be okay. So I think let's now get into a plow for the box office weekend of Friday, June 6th, 2025. Can you please plow?
Lilo and Stitch, #1 for 3 weekends in a row. It made 32.5, down 47%. It lost 225 theaters. It's at $335.7 million in its third weekend of release. #2, a newbie from the world of John Wick, Ballerina, made $25 million in its first frame. #3, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning made $15 million, down 45%. It lost 365 theaters. It's at $149.2 million in its third weekend of release. #4, Karate Kid Legends made $8.7 million, down 57%. It added 50 theaters. It's at $35.4 million in its second weekend. #5, Final Destination Bloodlines made $6.5 million, down 40%. It lost 267 theaters. It's at $123.5 million in its fourth weekend. And let's just keep going down a few. #6, The Phoenician Scheme, of course, the Wes Anderson film, made $6.2 million in its second weekend of release. But this is a wide release. It added 1,015. Oh, I'm sorry. It did. It added 1,672 theaters, but it's up 1,015%.
Okay.
And it is now at 6.9 in its second weekend. #7, Bring Her Back. $3.5 million, down 50%. It lost 24 theaters. It's at $14.1 million. And then #8, a newbie, Dan the Dan, Evil Eye, made $3 million on 1,085 screens in its first weekend.
Okay.
Don't know who Dan DeDan is?
I,
Do you know who Dan
I
DeDan is?
don't know who Dan DeDan is. I think that's a solid results for Dan's in general because Dan is not the most enticing name, I don't
Mhm.
think. And you got it twice in this title, Dan DeDan.
Yeah.
And so, this is not a blow the doors off opening weekend here, but I think for a Dan-based movie, that's pretty good. Did that open bigger? Did Dan open bigger than Dan in real life? That's what I want to know.
That's a
I
great
don't.
question.
If the great Scott Mendelson, if the icon, the legend, was on the show right now, he would top of the dome
No.
know opening weekend of Dan in real life. I mean,
Well, Dan in real life had that great poster where Steve Carell had his head on pancakes, correct?
is that what Dan in real life was about? It was about a man who really likes pancakes or was killed on pancakes.
Or maybe just sick of pancakes. But this poster, I'm looking at the poster for Dan DeDan Evil Eye, and at the top of it, all it says is, he's coming.
Oh, wow. Okay. So not a kids movie.
Well, it's spelled in the way, not in the European way. It's spelled in the regular way, as in he's arriving.
He's arriving.
Although,
Okay.
let's be honest here. If they weren't trying to play around a little bit, they'd say he's arriving.
They'd say he's arriving.
Because there's no way you can think anything other than, oh, he's showing up.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
When
yeah.
someone's arriving, you don't go, oh, I know what you mean.
Right.
But when it says he's coming,
yeah, they know what they're doing, Dan to Dan. Here, I mean, I guess give it up for. Listen, I'm not a fan that's been well established of Steve Carell, but I guess give it up for Steve Carell because in October of 2007, Dan in real life opened to $11.8 million.
there you go.
Is this?
And you were giving him the evil eye.
This okay?
This is the weekend. This is the weekend for it.
This is the
to talk
episode-
about Dan in real life.
To talk about Dan in real life, a movie that opened 18 years ago. Dan in real life in October of 2007 opened to 11.8 million. Its second weekend was only a 33% drop, 7.8 million. Its fourth weekend was 6 million. Dan in real life got to 47.6 million domestic.
Yeah.
So this has to be, and I know he starred in The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Carell's had hits. He was in
Crazy Stupid
Anchorman.
Love.
Dan in real life, this run kind of feels like the height of his stardom. To be able to get Dan in real life to those incredible holes, 11.8, 7.8, 6 million, 4 million, 3 million. Those are its first 5 weekends in a row.
And what year was this?
This is, again, we're talking about Dan in real life, which opened in October of 2007.
Okay.
So that's got to be right in post 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Yeah.
Prime, Carell as a star, quote unquote. Obviously now he does streaming projects and good for him. But so I mean, Dan to Dan is not the Dan at the box office. The king of the box office Dans is still Dan in real life from 2007. I think that is clear. One Dan is better than two, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to see if there was anybody else in this movie, but this is full Steve Carell. This is the only other person in here that would bring butts to the seats possibly was Dane Cook, but I think he was on his wane at that point, right? Or no?
2007 Dane Cook, that's probably still...
That's prime Cook.
That's probably still when he's in that spot where he's hosting SNL and back-to-back years.
Okay.
It's probably around there. No, definitely, because 2007... is still MySpace is at the top of its game.
And I'm trying to think. I was seeing the Sue-Fi around a lot in 2007.
Yeah.
I take my mind back. People were flashing the Sue-Fi.
Yeah.
The super finger.
Comment, because I don't think I've ever seen Dan in real life. Comment because we are YouTubers. Hey guys, in the comments, let us know, was there a Sue-Fi in the movie Dan in real life? Because now as we talk about it, it may be less to do with Steve Carell and more to do with Dane Cook was the draw for Dan in real life.
That's possible.
That could have been a way for Dan to go, is to get Dane Cook into this film.
Oh, you think he has some juice now?
I think he has juice when it comes to Dan in the title movies.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you look at Dan in real life, again, those holds for those weekends are pretty great.
Yeah.
And so I think it would have been worth a shot for the filmmakers from Dan to Dan to get Dane Cook in there as a nod to Dan in real life.
So it would be a voice because this is an anime.
Yeah, it's a voice. Yeah, and I don't know if Dane
He's-
Cook is camera ready anymore.
Yeah, he's probably better as a voice.
Yeah. And you have his animated character do the Sufi,
Mhm.
log into MySpace. You know, his character is like, oh, this is the most friended person on MySpace. So a little throwback to the good old days for Dane Cook.
Yeah.
I think that could have helped this box office for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about Bring Her Back.
Okay, so no more Dan in real life talk.
I think it's enough.
Okay.
So
We could get back to it later, though.
yeah, we can always swing back around.
Yeah.
We've done that previously.
Yeah.
So Bring Her Back.
Mm.
Down to number 7.
Mm-hmm.
50% drop, which that's what horror movies do.
Yeah. I mean, they usually do more than that.
Yeah.
So it's fine, but it's not fine.
Lost 24 theaters already.
Fitting number of theaters.
Yeah.
A24
minus 24.
minus 24.
They should just start calling their studio minus 24.
Wow. Okay. Because we really took A24 to task last week.
Yeah.
I mean, go back in the archives. Great episode. We took them to task for not opening Bring Her Back bigger.
Yeah.
And now they've lost 24 theaters. Is this a sign from the cosmos that they screwed the pooch on this movie?
I think so. And I'm telling, I said it last episode, Raka Raka, take your talents to Neon. Take your talents
Wow.
somewhere else. A24 doesn't respect you. They thought that they could just breeze by with not giving you any extra promotion, do their internet bullshit that they do for any crappy movie they release.
Wow.
They didn't give you the star treatment. You gave them a hit. They don't have a lot of hits. They have movies that people like. They have movies that are well respected. They don't have a lot of hits.
And then they have a lot of fake horror movies like The Lamb.
Yeah, yes, they have that trash.
Have they done that in a while? The A24 fake horror movie where they have a trailer that's horror and then it is just a slow drama that has maybe one weird image at the end. I feel like as they've moved into big budget type movies, Civil War type stuff.
Yeah.
They have moved away from their fake out horror trailers that aren't actually horror movies.
Yes. I don't think they're doing that gimmick anymore.
Okay.
And it makes me miss that gimmick.
Wow.
It makes me miss that gimmick. That I'd much rather have them deceive audiences into going to see movies than throwing talented directors under the bus with, hey, I guess we'll just like post some like YouTube videos and that'll be it.
Yeah.
You know, we'll just let the audience find it.
So one thing, great friend of ours, friend of the show, I saw this movie with when I was in Hollywood a week ago when I was on assignment.
So you didn't see it with Clemmer?
I did not see this with Clemmer. I did not travel him with me to California. Maybe that's something we think about for down the road, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen this time.
A weekend trip is a lot right now. It's pretty early still.
Yeah, but we're moving in that direction.
Yeah.
So I saw this with a friend, and we both loved the movie, and he did find after the fact a website there's an image in the movie that has a URL flashed, and he went to it, and it is a commerce site that sells like haunted items, including the hand from Talk to Me.
Nice.
So that's really cool. It is a cool
So they set
Blair
up,
Witch
oh,
type
great.
stuff.
So A24 got a Squarespace account
Yes.
and made a website.
And they made a website.
So that was probably so many millions of dollars, right?
They
So
probably
that's
had
as good as like a commercial during the playoffs. Is
Okay.
getting a Squarespace site to sell haunted material.
I mean, they did have to have an intern set up the Squarespace.
That's true.
So you got to take that into account.
Okay.
And they probably that afternoon paid for that intern's lunch.
Yeah.
When he or she or they
They.
set up that fake mini site selling fake haunted items.
Yeah. But I mean, but the
Or they could have done a Super Bowl commercial,
listen,
either one.
Either way,
Either
you know
way.
what? I take it back. A24, you're nailing it. Keep doing what you're doing.
So Raka Raka, we think they should leave.
Yeah.
A24. I mean, A24 did release their first movie. They did get
Which was a hit.
Talk to Me, which was a hit. And so you give A24 credit there, but the problem is this movie should have been bigger.
You need to keep your talent happy.
Right.
If a filmmaker, I mean, listen, this was what happened with Warner Brothers and Nolan. They let Nolan go.
Right.
And look what he did with Oppenheimer.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I think I want Raka Raka to go highest bidder, have someone who respects you, pushes your movies, right? And puts the huge blitzkrieg. Like I said,
You want a positive blitzkrieg.
I want it to be shoved down my throat.
Yeah.
I want their next movie to be shoved down my throat.
What if their next movie, because their first movie was called Talk to Me, second movie was called Bring Her Back, should movie number 3 be called Shove It Down My Throat?
Yeah, sure.
Shove It Down My Throat from Raka Raka.
Yeah. And I hope that movie is at a studio that respects them and gives them the proper marketing push.
Yes, yes. And it's like,
where were the Happy Meals, A24? And maybe not the Happy Meal. Where was the In-N-Out burger?
Yes.
Off
Happy
the
Meal
menu.
would have been a
I was workshopping it out loud. That's what we do here.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was the off menu, the secret menu item from In-N-Out that you could order? That is a marketing synergy with Bring Her Back.
So this,
you go up to the counter and you say Bring Her Back.
Yes.
And they give you whatever weird sandwich that would be appropriate for this movie, which I didn't see. Was there a secret menu item idea that came to you while watching this movie?
Well, here's the thing. There is eating in this movie.
Okay.
There is chewing.
Okay.
That is actually a big part of this movie.
Okay.
Is character, specifically one character, eating.
Okay.
And feasting.
And not in the vernacular of they're eating up
Not
there.
eating up there on stage. No.
Okay.
Like actually stuff in between teeth, chomp, chomp, chomp,
Okay.
eating. Big part of Bring Her Back. So yeah, an In-N-Out burger collab, co-sponsorship could definitely have some interesting possibilities and really tie into the movie.
Yeah.
Not sure if that's how In-N-Out Burger wants their food to be viewed and thought of, but there's ways that you can make it work.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. A food-based partner for Bring Her Back really could have tied into this movie. There was a lot of chomp, chomp, chomp.
Yeah.
In this movie. Here's something I'll throw out there. Not to take A24 off the hook. And I know...
You seem to be defending them pretty strongly.
Listen, they created a mini site with fake items.
Good for that. Oh, wow.
Listen, the intern did it. Great job. We support interns.
Was it a blog spot?
I don't know if it was a blog spot or a Squarespace, but or Wix. Maybe it's a Wix.
It could be a Wix
website. Yeah. I mean, that's also, they could have just partnered up with Wix to say, we used our website, we used Wix to build a fake mini site. Go see Bring Her Back.
Yeah.
The theater is partnered with Wix. Talk to Me was a horror movie about teens who they find that magic hand, bad stuff happens, teens deal with it. In this movie, it's not a movie that focuses on teens. There is a teenage character, but he's not really like a movie teen.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really have friends. There's not like a bunch of teens hanging out. Is this a tougher sell by the nature of the characters in this horror movie are not a group of teens?
I've said that. It is. But here's the thing.
Okay.
That's what you are able to do when you give someone a hit. You give someone a hit, and then they sell your next product, even if it's less sellable.
Okay.
You earned the ability to make a movie that might not be as sellable as the one that hit.
Mm.
And your studio should say, yes, we love the one you had before.
Mhm.
Like, look what they did with Beau is Afraid. Why did this not get the Beau is Afraid
It didn't.
treatment?
Beau is Afraid got so much bigger of a push. I mean,
That was shoved down our throats.
I mean,
and we don't gag. I was gagging on that.
wow, you were gagging up
I was
there.
gagging on Beau.
What about his new movie, Ari Aster, Eddington? A24 is going to shove that down everyone's throat. And listen, that's what they should be doing. That's
They
how
should
you promote
be.
a movie.
That's what I'm saying.
But
It's
they
like,
chose Eddington as the movie they're giving a big commercial push to.
and you know what? It's gonna eat shit.
Wow. So
It's
it'll be
gonna
eating
eat
shit up
shit.
there.
It's gonna eat shit. Yeah, it's gonna eat effing s.
I mean, that movie has, and we'll talk about it as it gets closer to coming out, it has a star. It has Joaquin Phoenix. It has Pedro Pascal.
It has a guy who played Joker.
Okay.
He's not a star.
Oh.
Joaquin Phoenix is not a star. He doesn't
Okay.
put butts in seats.
Okay. He's a very known person.
He's a known person.
You know, this
And Pedro Pascal.
Sally Hawkins, star of Bring Her Back, should get an Oscar nom nom nom. She is not as famous of a on-screen presence.
But
as
also
Joaquin
the
Phoenix.
budgets are completely different on these
budgets,
movies
yeah.
too.
Sure,
right?
sure.
And Pedro Pascal seems like listen, or he could be a monster because this is what happens is
Who
everybody
knows?
loves and slurps on somebody and then they become a monster.
Or he's a
they
nice
were
guy.
a monster. Or he's a great guy, whatever. Right now he seems to have the sheen of a nice guy. He doesn't bring anybody to the movies. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to all the internet, but your daddy doesn't bring the boys to the yard.
I mean,
he doesn't.
we will be talking about Internet Daddy Pedro Pascal a lot on the next episode because Materialist comes out next Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to get into it on Materialist. I mean,
Yeah.
that is the first of, I think, 4 Pedro Pascal movies coming out.
See, this is
summer.
dangerous for Fantastic Four because I know
Yeah.
there's a lot of pre-sales, but the thing with the pre-sales is that it's a Marvel movie and all the Bazinga Bros are going to do this. They're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
buy the tickets ahead of time.
Yeah.
But people might be sick of this guy's face.
And you know, the thing about pre-sales these days, back in the day,
Back in the day.
when it was just you buy a ticket on Fandango,
Mm-hmm.
once you buy that ticket, that's it.
Yeah.
That is your ticket. And you ain't, you know, you could have death in the family. Everyone I know got wiped out in a car accident. I really shouldn't go to this movie that I bought a ticket for in 2 months. Fandango's going to say, screw.
Tough tatas.
Tough tatas.
Kick rocks.
So sad. Too bad.
Yep.
You already bought this ticket.
World's smallest violin.
Yep. And then the other finger doing sort of the same thing. And it's like money.
It's like,
money,
it's
money.
our money. We got your money and this is the violin.
Yep.
So cry about it.
Exactly.
Biatch.
Cry more, says Fandango. That was the old, you buy a ticket online, you ain't getting your money back.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I assume that AMC A-list reservations are factored into pre-sale counts.
Yeah.
And you could cancel it.
Yeah.
You could cancel it. And you don't even need an excuse. You don't even need to show a death
No.
certificate these days
No.
to cancel a movie reservation.
That's how good of I mean, listen, we would love them to be a sponsor. We are AMC A-listers all the way.
All the way.
Talk about it can go
From New
screw.
York.
That Regal, whatever. Worst year of my life, I had that Regal.
Yeah, that's the autobiography someday. Clayton, worst year of my
not
life.
so regal year.
Yeah.
And so AMC.
And on the cover of the book, you're dressed up like a king,
Yeah.
but everything's kind of tattered and falling
like
off.
askew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a little askew.
Yeah. My not so regal year. That's big. Yeah, I got a piece of that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that these pre-sales could be a joke. You know,
Right.
Obviously they mean something.
Oh, of course. But as people start to possibly, and they may love all these movies, and by the time Fantastic Four comes out, they're like, more, Internet Daddy, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
But you may get Eddington and The Materialist, and I forget what the other movie he's in, before Fantastic Four. And people are sick of him. They go to AMC, cancel. I can't.
I can't see this guy's face anymore.
I can't see it again, and I don't even need a death certificate to cancel my reservation.
Yeah.
So pre-sales are not as solid of an indicator as they used to be
Yes.
back when you buy a ticket on Fandango. That's it. Show up or don't show up, the money's gone.
And the thing with the pre-sales is like some of these movies that have had not as high pre-sales have a lot of walk-up business. So
Right,
you
right.
wonder, is this a movie that's going to get a lot of walk-up?
Yeah,
So obviously this was the week to talk about Fantastic
of
Four.
course. I mean, listen, we'll bring her back. Should be making more money than it is.
And that's A24's fault, not Raka Raka. They're talented individuals, and I can't wait for them to find a place that respects them.
Okay. So Phoenician Scheme, just going up the list. This is the new Wes Anderson.
Wes being Wes.
6.2 million. It's at 6.9, and it's, this is the first weekend of wide-ish release. He's got the audience. This isn't going to be one of the bigger Wes Andersons. It's not going to do, I was just looking, Asteroid City was the one before this.
Yeah.
And at this point, after its first wide release weekend, after it went wide, Asteroid City was at 9 million.
Okay.
Actually, it was at 10.2. It did 9 million plus in its wide release weekend. It done like 1 million the week before that. So Asteroid City was ahead of where Phoenician Scheme is at this point.
Is Hanks in this one?
Hanks is in this, but I feel like Asteroid City was really pushed that Hanks is in
Yeah.
this. This is a movie, Phoenician Scheme, I think more than other Wes Anderson movies where they're pushing the lead more than the big cast.
Yeah, Benicio.
Yeah, Benicio really is like front and center in this in a way that the last few Wes Andersons, it's more about here's 15 people in it. Like this movie does have there's 15 people in it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a lot more cameos, like ScarJo, Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I think they are like very much cameos in Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah,
it's really Del Toro.
Yeah, Del Toro.
Yeah.
And Sarah.
And Michael Cera. But here's the thing.
And Richard Ayoade.
And Richard Ayoade, who you're a big fan of.
I'm a big fan of, and I think, everybody's talking about, wow, how come Michael Cera's never been in one of these movies? I mean, Richard Ayoade. I mean, that I know of, he hasn't been in a Wes Anderson movie before, maybe in a small part, but like he's perfect for these movies.
Yeah, that's your guy. It's him and Bookie Wookie.
No, Bookie Wookie. No, Bookie Wookie.
Yeah, I mean, years and years I kept hearing you got to get Bookie Wookie.
No.
Bookie Wookie's got to be in more movies.
No. James A. Caster, he's another guy like.
So,
not Bookie Wookie.
Do you have interest in this? You're not a big Wes Anderson guy.
I am going to see this with my current partner.
Wow.
We're going to see this at some point.
Okay.
Because she is a fan.
Okay.
And has interest.
Wow.
So therefore, I'm going to go.
Wow.
But if it was just me, like Bachelor.
Yes.
No.
So this is the Phoenician Scheme. Really, is that dividing line between single Clayton and relationship Clayton.
Yeah. Well, Wes Anderson is sort of. Like,
yeah.
I don't have time for Wes Anderson unless somebody that I care about has time for Wes Anderson. And then I have time for Wes Anderson.
Wow. Okay. So this is it. This is, I mean, listen, we're not sending out the wedding invites or anything yet, but this is a big step in this relationship that you are going to see a Wes Anderson movie. I mean, you don't have a date, so you're still a little non-committed there. But you will see this. That is a big step in this relationship.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So that's got to be one of the strengths of Wes Anderson is that he does get couples out to the movie. He is very much, his films are a real solid date movie in certain areas on the coast for sure.
Yes.
That gets these bachelors, these guys who are wild and crazy guys who once they're in a relationship, well, we got to see this Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Is this a possible, because we have not done the B.O. Boys double date here. Is this a possibility for Phoenician Scheme where my wife, your partner, we all get together for Phoenician Scheme?
I mean,
is that on the table?
It's definitely on the table. That's definitely on the table for sure. Would your wife see Wes Anderson?
She doesn't love him, but we saw Asteroid City together and French Dispatch. So she's sort of the you in this situation, I think, where
she holds her nose and goes to Wes for you.
For me, yes. Back when she was single and just doing whatever.
Hey, whatever.
I don't need
You
a
don't have any
number.
propriety.
Don't need a number. I don't need to hear about it.
Nope.
But one thing I know for sure, she wasn't going to Wes Anderson movies before me.
Yes.
Whatever she was doing,
It wasn't Wes Anderson movies.
it wasn't Wes Anderson movies,
Yeah.
and it wasn't happening at Wes Anderson movies. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
But now she goes to Wes Anderson movies because of me,
Yeah, because of you.
because that's what I demand.
Yeah.
And she likes him fine enough. I think she enjoyed Asteroid City.
Yeah.
But no, she was not, back in the day, Royal Tenenbaum. She was not going to see Moonrise Kingdom in the theaters. And,
Darling Unlimited.
you know what?
Where
Well,
did she see that?
this is how long we've been together. Is she has seen the Darjeeling Limited and the Grand Budapest Hotel
Okay.
in the theater with me.
Wow. Okay.
So our relationship goes back that many Wes Anderson movies.
That is a good way to, like, that's a good yardstick. A good way to keep time.
Yes.
Is what Wes Anderson movies
Yes.
you saw together.
If you are a coastal elite couple,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Like you shouldn't have an anniversary of how many years we've been together. The anniversary should be how many Wes Anderson movies is this that we've seen in a small New York City theater together.
Yeah.
Because I would say, yeah, I mean, I know Rushmore, Royal Tenenbaums, Life Aquatic, those were pre-us. I was seeing those as a bachelor.
Yes.
And she was not seeing those. She was doing whatever.
And it's her right to do whatever.
That's her right to do whatever. God bless. I don't want to hear about it.
Don't hear about it.
But yes, we've been together.
What about Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Fantastic Mr. Fox was before us. I saw that in the theater without her. So she was not seeing that in the theater. She's doing whatever. Yes, we've been together since definitely Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
So
But I do know the first movie you ever saw together. You and your wife.
Oh,
Cedar Rapids.
It was Cedar Rapids. We called it Cedar Crapids. It was a
Mhm.
big moment for us, of
Yeah.
course, starring Ed Helms,
Yeah.
who was, apparently
Anaconda.
Anaconda.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Didn't know that when we went on that date
Yeah.
and we saw Cedar Rapids starring Ed Helms. Did not know about
Did
the
not know-
Anaconda
Yeah. Didn't
at
know
the
that.
time. Found that out years later, heard about that.
Yeah.
It is what
It is what it is.
So there you go. But yes, so this will be, in your relationship, your first Wes Anderson movie together with
yeah.
the Phoenician Scheme.
Yes, it's a big marker of time.
Yes. All right. So perhaps, listen, we are YouTubers. Hey, guys.
Hey guys.
In the comments below, comment if you want this to be a B.O. Boys double date situation. Should the Phoenician Scheme be where this happens? Or is there a different movie coming out this summer that makes more sense to be the B.O. Boys double date situation?
See, I really wish in a perfect world that I could mark my relationship by Whit Stillman movies, but that just is not a world we live in.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't get the money to make them, and the last one was like an Amazon production.
Right.
And it did get a release in the theaters, but he's not as frequent as the Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
So,
And if
that's
you guys,
the world I'd want to live in.
if you waited for that, you'd also have to be together for a really long time.
That's the thing. That's a commitment.
That's a real
If
commitment.
you're judging by Whit Stillman movies, then you're committing to somebody.
Yeah, if you look at them and you get on one knee and you say, I want to spend at least 2 Whit Stillman movies in the theater with you, that is like, all right, so I guess we're dying together.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's till death or 2 Whit Stillman movies.
Yeah. I would say no matter how much you love the other person, that's too much.
That's too much.
That's
you can't
too much for
promise
commitment.
that. You can't promise the heaven in the stars.
Yeah.
Because that's just not realistic.
Yeah, that's too much. So this movie is doing Wes Anderson levels, maybe a little below. I mean, it'll be bigger than French Dispatch. It'll be less than Asteroid City.
And like I said before, it's selling. This is a movie that brings in the couples. It brings in the people who will buy the $7 cappuccino and the dry little pastry at your Angelica's,
Right.
and places like that. These little movie houses, they run on
Mm-hmm.
Wes Anderson movies.
Yeah.
And so that's good for them. 6 million at those places? Come on.
Yeah. You know how, okay, there are certain TV shows that are able to charge more for commercials based on the audience demographic.
Yes.
That, certain shows have more college graduates, or they know that, oh, this show gets a higher income bracket. Maybe
Yeah.
not as much now because no one watches network TV.
But an example that we always use, or people always use, is Seinfeld. Seinfeld was they were college educated, more like...
Well, Seinfeld was just like a mass. Everyone watched that. I feel like a few years later, when shows had less viewers, but they would always point to like 30 Rock gets higher ad rates because of whatever demos it gets, stuff like that.
Because the amount of
for Wes Anderson movies,
education level and
I
money.
mean, Wes Anderson movies. I wonder if they could, charge more for the ads that they're selling for their like Nokia phones right before a Wes Anderson movie than you would get for your standard action movie.
That's a great question. Are there different ad rates for different movies?
Yeah,
Or is
for the
it
art
just
house
standard?
fare, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the AMC and the Regal, those are all sort of like packaged or whatever.
Yeah,
but like, if you're a realtor, if you're a local realtor that has a commercial before a Wes Anderson movie,
right?
Are you spending more money on that than you would for, say, The Materialist?
Right, or Ballerina.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, so maybe that's where Wes Anderson movies, they're getting their money in there somehow. So there'll be another one. You could definitely, as a couple, commit to at least 3 Wes Anderson movies together, and it won't be that long. You won't have to be together that long.
Yeah.
Just going up a little bit. I mean, Bloodlines is doing what it does, 123 million. Incredible.
Incredible. We haven't talked about it a lot. We talked about it obviously when it opened. We saw it. You spoiled it. That didn't deter people from seeing it.
Nope. So I was proven right.
So, well, no, they were still spoiled, but they wanted to see it enough. And a great movie, you could still be spoiled and want to see it.
They were spoiled by great content.
I mean, that's them twice a week for us. Getting spoiled by great content. I just think, we can't say enough about the success of this film and how they really did do this franchise well in the sense of, again, it's a movie that if you've never seen any of these other movies, you won't be lost.
No.
If you see it and you've seen all the other movies, it's not annoying, the callbacks or the little Easter eggs. They are not bold in your face things. Right. They're little tiny things that you would enjoy and make sense within the story.
Yes.
And it's just gives you everything you want from that movie.
And the next one will probably not be as big as this. I mean, this feels like this is going to be the high watermark for the Final Destination franchise. But the next one will probably be the second biggest of these movies because even dropping from Bloodlines, it's still starting at such a higher place than those other ones. Like whenever they do another Final Destination movie, it probably will open to $30 or $40 million.
Absolutely. And depending on the quality, whatever the hold will be. But still, I mean, 2 horror franchises reinvented themselves in this decade: Scream and Final Destination. And the outlook for Final Destination is a lot rosier than it is for Scream.
Yes.
And this is coming from one of the biggest Scream fans in all of America.
Yes. I mean, I think
the world.
The next Final Destination movie, whenever that comes out, will do better than Scream 7 that's coming out this year, or is that next year? That's spring 26?
26.
Okay. Karate Kid Legends was number 4, 8.7 million, drop of 57%. It's at 35.5 million.
So this movie's done.
It's done. You know what? In the end, this is a disappointment because, I mean, I know Sony keeps the budgets in check. According to Jeff Bach, as the relations co, he says this was a $45 million budget. So it's at 35 million. So it's gonna lose money in the theaters and it'll downstream and it's gonna make money on Netflix.
PVOD.
It's not what they wanted. I think they didn't expect this to be a blockbuster, but they probably, I mean, listen, the tracking was it was going to open to 35 million. A couple of months ago, you figured 35, 40 something million was the opening weekend.
Yeah.
It's at that after 10 days.
Yes.
So that's a bad sign. I think in the end, and I heard Scott Mendelson talk about this on his box office podcast, it's a kids movie,
Mm-hmm.
and you need kids movies. And for a kids movie, it's at least at 35. It'll get to 40 something, maybe
Yeah.
50 million.
It's not going to kickstart this into a new cinematic franchise for Karate Kid. This feels
No.
to me like it for the big screen Karate Kid for another maybe 20 years.
Yes. Yeah. You're gonna
Maybe not 20 years because culture moves so much faster, but like 10
8
years.
Yeah. It's going to need, I think, a twist on it. Like, it'll need to be Karate Kid versus something, a different IP.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that IP would be, like Karate Kid versus Street Fighter. Are they are doing a Street Fighter movie?
Yes, they have to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And Street Fighter would be teamed up with Mortal Kombat someday if that ever has a crossover. But like,
What about the sidekicks? Sidekicks. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
R.I.P. Jonathan Brandis, but maybe
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris is still alive. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, according
Fucking
to
rough,
all
he was doing
the memes from 20 years ago, he's unkillable, and Death sees Chuck Norris and hangs himself.
Yeah.
All that hilarious people. The height of comedy. Of
Yeah, it
course,
was the worst time. It was a worst time in culture. For
Yeah.
sure.
So, could they have had? Is that the way to go? It probably wouldn't have been the way to go for this Karate Kid movie. Obviously, we've talked about should have been Cobra Kai centric or whatever. But if you're bringing back Karate Kid going forward,
Three Ninjas.
that might be the one. Is the Three Ninjas franchise for Karate Kid versus Three Ninjas?
There's less tragedy involved with it.
Well, listen. Do you
Or
have any
there's
idea?
more. Or there's three
more.
times as much tragedy.
Could you name any of those ninjas? Any of those actors?
Well, I know Rob Schneider was in those movies as a
Okay.
sidekick, right?
Right.
Rob Schneider.
And he's had his share of tragedy, I guess, just career-wise, but not personally. He seems to be healthy.
Yeah.
But I have no idea what the living status of the Three Ninjas actors are. I mean, for all we know, they all could be separated from their heads. We have no idea.
It's possible.
But if they are
I'm
alive
gonna Google
and
separated.
camera ready, that could be the way to go. Is
See,
Karate
alive.
Kid
That's the
versus-
thing. Alive is one thing.
Are they
Camera ready
camera
is
ready?
another thing.
Yeah, I have
and that
no
is
idea.
really hard to stay.
Yeah. I mean, the Three Ninjas, I think the most famous sequel because of the title is Three Ninjas at Mega Mountain, which co-starred Hulk Hogan, which I don't know if he's a
High Noon at Mega Mountain.
High Noon at Mega Mountain. I don't know if bringing him in is a box office help in any way for the Three Ninjas versus Karate Kid sequel down the road.
Mm-hmm. What about straight up just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Versus Karate Kid.
What if the Karate Kid falls in the sewer
Mm-hmm.
and is like, "What the f?"
Right.
What that? I mean, that would be crazy.
Yeah, and you could retcon a backstory between Splinter and Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, that they were like at the same like they
Yeah,
went
they
to
were
the
the same
same karate
dojo.
school together,
Yeah.
same dojo together, and then he became a rat and
Yes.
yeah.
Well, it would have to be the rat because Splinter was always a rat. It would have to be the rat was at the dojo that Mr. Miyagi was at.
Yeah. I don't know where the origin of Splinter is at this point.
Yeah, because he's had a few different ones, but I
he's
feel like
had
he's
one
always
where
a
he-
rat who watches karate.
But then there was one where he was a human that mutated into a rat.
Oh,
That-
wow.
that- I think that was an origin at some point. But
Okay.
the OG, yes, he was a rat that was shadowing one of the other karate people
Right,
and
right.
learned as a rat, and then he did get hit with some
With the ooze.
with the ooze.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
got ooze.
And that just gave him like the power of speech and he got
Yeah,
larger.
and he got larger.
But the karate was just actually from him watching it as a rat.
he knew karate as just a regular rat.
Yeah. So I think that is a way to go. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise feels a lot healthier than the Karate Kid franchise.
Oh yeah, especially with Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah. They had the animated Seth Rogen produced movie that would have done better, except it was during the SAG strikes. No one was able to promote it. So I think that did hurt the BO, but it did fine. So I would say if Sony, although Sony owns them both, right? is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles a Sony? No, they're Paramount. They're Paramount.
Yeah.
So if Sony went to Paramount,
Did you picture them on the mountaintop?
I
With Picard and Beavis and Butthead?
yep.
Yeah.
That is where
And some
Daria.
guy from Survivor?
Yeah, that's where I went. Who now I guess is in the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah, he previously was on a Paramount Plus.
Well,
commercial 3 years ago.
thinking of Sean from Boston,
I
Real
think-
World Boston.
Yeah, I think he was 3 years ago climbing the mountain with Beavis and Butthead in a Paramount Plus ad, and now he
Him and
runs,
Puck.
Yeah, now he runs all the trains.
Yeah.
So, I do think if Sony went to Paramount and said, "Hey guys,
Hey guys.
we got this great idea, Karate Kid. Don't worry about the box office for this one. That was a blip. Karate Kid is still hot. Let's team up Karate Kid with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Blow this out.
Yeah.
What do you say?" I think Paramount would say, go screw.
Go screw.
Yeah. Maybe
Oh,
more
okay.
polite. Maybe more polite.
Because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles don't need Karate Kid.
They don't need Karate.
If anything, Karate Kid will bring them down.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Because listen, they're coming in with, hey, we still got Machio. Jackie Chan's on the fence. He doesn't want double what we paid him for the last movie. Let's get them in there with Leonardo. That Paramount be like, guys, come on.
Be serious.
Be serious here.
I think that, and this is definitely the weekend to talk about this.
Yeah.
I think the fact that the Men in Black 21 Jump Street crossover movie never came to pass
Mhm.
has really put a roadblock for these odder pairings. Where
Yeah.
you know, of course, G.I. Joe Transformers would have been something that makes sense because they were linked in the comic books. They were also both Hasbro. Like that's not as weird.
Yeah.
And then of course, like Predator versus
Alien.
that makes total sense.
Yes.
But these sort of weirder combinations have never really broken through because that movie didn't get made. If that movie gets made and it's a hit, then you're going to see all these crazy combos of IPs, and it just hasn't happened.
Well, here's the one, and because I was just talking about this yesterday with Hollywood Insider, Deep Popcorn.
Okay.
We were having a conversation, and I pitched him on this idea, and obviously, Deep Popcorn, he makes things happen. If he said there's a go picture, it would happen.
Okay.
I pitched him on the idea because we ended up talking about the Goonies and how do you remake that? It started from a conversation about Love Hurts where Kiwi Kwan and Sean Astin were both in that together. So they did a backdoor Goonies team up in that movie. Didn't help that BO.
No. Also an Encino Man reunion for them too.
Right.
They were in that together.
So what would a Goonies sequel look like? And my pitch has always been you do Goonies versus the Gremlins. That's the movie. That's the way of bringing both of those franchises back. They're both Amblin. They're both written by Chris Columbus, produced by Spielberg, came out within a year or two of each other. They are in the same universe. It is canon.
Yeah.
Because in the Goonies, they do mention the Gremlins happened.
Mm-hmm.
You've, of course, got to figure out the Corey Feldman thing because he was in each movie.
Yeah.
So is he playing two characters? Is he this? I mean, my thought is his character in the Goonies is the same character he was in the Gremlins. He just moved and changed his name after the events of Gremlins.
I
Try
can see
and
that.
get away from that. I think that's a slam doink movie team up. If you ever bring in either of those back, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Combine those casts. Corey Feldman plays two parts. I think that's a big hook. But you're right that kind of team up, combining these franchises might be dead because they couldn't get the Men in Black 21 Jump Street team up to happen. Yeah. So this was definitely the week to talk about that. Let's jump into Ballerina. This is the newbie.
Let's not dance around it.
Let's not.
Because
Wow.
supposedly there's not a lot of dancing in this movie.
I mean-
We've got a scathing review of this film.
Do we want to go to some of the boots on the ground reporting we have from Ballerina? I'm going to just read some quotes.
Yeah.
And do we say her name? This is a past and future guest / fill-in co-host.
Yeah, well, you can say her name.
Okay, you say her name.
Erin Moran.
Erin Moran. So, of course, Erin Moran, she had this to say, having seen Ballerina. Ballerina.
Did she say doo-doo?
She said doo-doo.
She always
Yeah.
starts all her texts to us with doo-doo.
Yep, doo-doo. So she starts with doo-doo. Also,
that.
guys, Ballerina kills a bunch of dudes with an ice skate, and it's like, have her strangle them with the ribbons on her ballet shoes. WTF. So,
R.I.P. Soon.
yeah,
WTF. The
right.
podcast, yeah.
All right, well, I mean, spot's opening there.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, you got to fill that time slot on the dial.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time for the BO boys to slip into that morning WTF time slot.
Absolutely.
Unlock those gates, and let's put the BO boys in there, and then lock the gates afterwards. She says, this is the scathing one. I am still not over how little ballet there is in Ballerina. And she said this a day or so after seeing the movie. I don't think she's over it as of this moment.
No, it's stuck in her craw pretty deeply.
And she gets over things. Erin, she's someone who she will be forgiving.
Yeah, very much so.
And a good person who has very flawed friends, and she says, you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
And she is still not over how little ballet there is in Ballerina.
Well, she likes a movie where people kick ass.
Yeah.
She likes movies about women who kick ass.
Yep.
You know, obviously, famously has the peppermint scale.
Yes. How many
which is-
scoops?
How Many Scoops,
Yeah.
which is Jennifer Garner actioneer, where her daughter loves peppermint ice cream, an ice cream flavor that is marginal at best.
Yeah.
And we didn't get a scoop number though.
We didn't get a scoop
You know,
number.
actually, let's see if I can get a live on air.
Number of scoops.
Yeah.
From Erin about Ballerina. So this is the other quote that I think is so damning about this movie, Boots on the Ground reporting. Ballerina didn't pump me up at all. I
Oh.
didn't leave the theater with the urge to kill, which is an abject failure on the film's part. Black Swan would take down Ballerina with a single plie. So she compared, I asked her about Black Swan versus Ballerina. Black Swan would take down Ballerina with a single plie. So that is the boots on the ground reporting from Erin. This movie opens at $25 million, which
I nailed.
you nailed. I tip my cap, my Cinema United cap over to you. You nailed the $25 million. And listen, as a just action movie opening, fine. You know, it's bigger than the Statham opening weekends. It's bigger than The Amateur. It's bigger than The Accountant 2, right? Did Accountant 2 what did that open to? That didn't open to 25, did it?
What did it? That's a great question.
So maybe around there. So as if you're just looking at, hey, this is just an action movie, opening weekend, 25 million. Sure. I think, though, to me, what this movie, this 25 million shows is the John Wick franchise is got to be about John Wick.
It's got to be.
And Ana De Armas is not a rising movie star draw.
No.
That is not the case.
Well, here, I mean, in Anthony D is for Dummy calling us dummies, D. Alessandro,
Mm-hmm.
he talks about Furiosa.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about these action movies that are replacing the star of the franchise
Right.
and expecting the same returns.
Right.
And that's what this is.
Right.
And it just so happens that they're female in those cases, but you can even look at something like the Bourne Identity film that had Hawkeye in it.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
where they're like, well, it's the same thing, but it's this guy instead. And it's like, but Matt Damon is the guy.
Right. They want all of these, and it's not like she's playing John Wick. She is playing Ballerina.
But I think
They want five Ballerina movies.
But I
is what
think
they
Renner
hoped.
was playing a different character.
Yeah. But basically they
Jeremy
wa-
Renner.
They want all of these action IP movies to be Batman, where you could just every so often switch out the actor and people will go because of the IP itself.
Yeah.
And
Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man, yeah. And they're not. These action franchises are star dependent. People go to John Wick movies because Keanu Reeves is the star of those movies.
They want to see one of the gentlest men publicly
Yeah.
murder thousands of people on screen with
Yes.
handguns.
Yes.
That's what they want to see.
Yes. And they want to see him do it, not
Yeah.
Ana De Armas.
Not Ana De Armas.
So I do think that this ballerina, 25 million, which is, it's not a disaster. or
Accountant
anything.
opened at 24.
Okay.
A little over 24. So did less, but I mean, again, John Wick is a lot bigger than the Accountant films, so therefore they were expecting a bigger haul for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And they were expecting this to be the kickoff of its own side franchise.
Yes.
Like, this was greenlit with the idea of, we'll now make 4 of these Ana de Armas ballerina movies. And I think we will never see ballerina again. Do you think we will ever see the character of ballerina, Ana de Armas, in a sequel or even in a John Wick sequel?
Well, they announced 5 but haven't shot 5, so
I don't think they're putting ballerina.
yeah, I mean maybe she dies in the beginning or something.
Oh,
maybe
wow.
they kill her off.
See, I
off
don't think they'd
screen.
want to do that because that just feels vindictive.
Yeah.
I think if this movie opened to 12 million and was a full-on bomb, then in the next John Wick, they're killing her off.
They full on do like what they did to Charlie Sheen in 2.5 Men, where he's like
Yes.
shoved in front of a train and explodes.
Yes, yes. Or when Valerie Harper couldn't come to terms on a contract for Valerie's family.
Car accident.
Yeah, they made a point of that character is dead,
Mm-hmm.
and now it is the Hogan family. Like,
Yeah.
the network they were taking her to task in front of the nation.
Yeah.
Killing her character off.
Yeah.
And I don't think this movie opened so low that they're going to want to do a Valerie's family to ballerina in
Yeah.
the next John Wick movie. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so. I think if this movie opened to 11 or 12, then it's, hey, Lionsgate is going to the Valerie Harper playbook, and we're killing the character off
Yeah.
publicly, in a very public way. 25 million, they're probably like, let's just forget about her.
That's the thing. Yeah.
It's not worth it. Let's not do the Valerie Harper playbook here.
Yeah.
But I do think this movie kills this off as a franchise going forward. The ballerina side franchise.
Yeah. I just have a feeling that this 25, it's getting good reviews, but you're
What does that
seeing
matter?
it doesn't matter at this point. There's so
If
much.
people aren't excited.
That's the thing, and there's so much other things available for them to see and are coming out that this thing is just going to get buried. I mean, that's the same thing with Karate Kid, but those are both movies that got delayed. The Karate Kid movie got delayed. This movie got delayed. Now, I know other movies got delayed because of the strike and budgets and stuff, but it's like not looking too good for some of these movies that have been delayed.
Well, I mean, the big one in a couple of weeks, of course, will be Ilio. Ilio was pushed a full year
Yeah.
ahead or out because Bob Iger basically wanted to get Ilio off of his 2024
Yeah.
slate. He wanted to have a huge year for Disney, and he had a lot of investor stuff he had to handle. So Ilio was pushed out. Not a good sign for Ilio. Not a good sign for movies that are pushed out a year.
I'm going to say something shocking here.
Wow, okay.
You know where I stand with Pixar and the Pixar perverts and the people who make Pixar movies.
Yeah, you think they're creatively bankrupt?
Yes.
You were, in fact, yelled at on your own show about that
Yeah.
several years ago.
Yes.
Some would
By-
say you were proven to be right.
I was proven to be right, for
Yeah.
sure.
You were yelled at by now one of the
Biggest.
hottest rising young actors in Hollywood,
Yeah.
it turned out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I'm curious to see what they do next.
Yes.
But I've been seeing some commercials for this movie
Okay, for Elio.
and say maybe it's because I'm a Gen Xer and we're contrarians by nature.
Mm.
I think it looks kind of cute.
Wow.
Like this character feels a little like I'm sort of rooting for this kid.
Okay.
He seems like really like a good kid.
And
this
he's got
Elio.
he's got
He's got
an
an eye
alien with
patch.
him.
He's got an eye patch for some reason, which is
Okay.
cool. You always want to be like, what's up with this kid that's got the eye patch? You ever see did you ever go to middle school and there's a kid that shows up with an eye patch? And you're like, what's their deal?
He would know better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
in my school, you show up with an eye patch, you might as well just put you might as well put on
oh, so you're blind. You're
patches
just,
on both. Yeah.
all of a sudden you're blind.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Anyway, we're a little bit less cruel, I guess, where I came from.
Yeah.
But
Not the old neighborhood.
yeah. And it says a lot about how you treat me, really.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I treat you as if you always have an eye patch on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm being charmed by this movie, and I think the reason being is that it is bound for disaster.
Okay.
And I don't think it's going to be well liked or do well. And I'm sort of like, I'm rooting for this Elio.
Yeah, you relate. Okay.
Yeah, I'm rooting for this Elio now.
All right. Well, we'll get to that in a few weeks. But yeah, Ballerina. Here's one thing I'll say positive for this. And
Okay.
again, this is not an abject disaster. $25 million for an action movie. Fine. I think this proves that American people are not as dumb as you may think they are, because this was definitely an attempt at a scam
Yes.
to try and trick the citizenry into thinking that Keanu Reeves was the star of this movie, that
Yeah.
John Wick would be in this a lot. And obviously we knew that this was going to be a late stage Bruce Willis red box type of situation where Keanu Reeves came and filmed for 4 hours, and they maybe split that up into him appearing like 3 times in the movie for almost no screen time. We knew that.
Yeah.
And there was the thought, hey, maybe the everyday Joe Lunchpail doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And goes thinking they're getting a big Keanu Reeves movie. And that didn't work. If this movie opens up to 50 million, then you could say that worked. Everyone's an idiot.
Yeah. America's dumb as ever.
Dumb as ever. But at least in this case, America proved we're not as dumb as we seem and act.
Mm-hmm.
We're less dumb than that.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
That's positive.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's always positive when a country proves themselves to be less dumb than they appear to be.
Yeah.
Most of the time with every other decision they make.
Yeah. So I think USA in this case.
Okay. Just in this case right now.
In this case right now, you done good. We're still a month away from Independence Day, so there's a lot of time to F up between now and then.
Oh, yeah.
But this is a good step that they weren't completely fooled by the John Wick is the star of this movie, Keanu Reeves is the star of this movie attempted scam. They knew. And, not to pile on Ana De Armas, I mean, this has got to be her biggest opening weekend ever as the star of a movie, right?
As the star of a movie. Yeah, because I don't think she's really even starred in anything.
Like she's been in, like we talked about, the James Bond movie and stuff. But as far as her being the star, unless I guess you count her as the star of Knives Out. Which
I don't.
And even that first Knives Out movie was a
Craig.
much bigger hit, but it probably opened to like 18 or 19.
Yeah.
Maybe it opened to over 25.
I would say that is Daniel Craig.
Yes. Yeah. So as far as the star, this is her biggest opening, but it also was like slightly a confirmation that she's not going to get to an Emma Stone, Jennifer Lawrence type of new star level.
Although it did open bigger than Red Sparrow.
It did.
But Red Sparrow was so much, it wasn't connected to the most popular action franchise going.
Right.
And it was about like a young woman who was abused and turned into an assassin.
Right.
And it had like full frontal nudity and it was dark.
But not in the way that would be a draw.
Yes. Depressing full frontal nudity.
Yes. Yeah, it's this subgenre, because I think Ballerina is a similar setup in that it is they're like kidnapped women who are forced to be assassins of some sort. Like that genre, and that's
or they're trained from really young girls to be assassins.
Yeah.
And ballerinas, which being a ballerina is cruel enough.
Right. That's as physically taxing of a thing you could force anyone into.
Couldn't they have just been like, you're doing like
just assassin training?
Yeah. I was thinking of an easier dance, but like, why even have the dance element?
Oh, okay. Just like tap dancing.
The tap dancing isn't easy.
I mean, I don't do breakdancing. I don't know. What form of dance is like a lazy dance? Dancing is just inherently a lot of energy and moving around, and you're on your feet.
Yeah, but ballerina, you have
like
to stay
river
on your
dance.
toes.
There's never been in this genre we kidnap these women from birth, or got these orphans, whatever it is, and train them to be assassins, but also train them to do river dance.
No.
They've never done the river dance and assassin from birth combo.
But I also think Riverdance sort of had its moment, and they weren't able to really, they weren't able to grab that tiger by the tail at the
Right.
time when it would really sell. Like, I mean, also there hasn't been any Gregarian chant, groups that have been also assassins, which those Gregarian chant CDs were huge back in the 90s.
Yes. Yeah.
But they never were like, whoa, maybe we can have this crossover where they're like kids that were like kidnapped and taught to Gregarian chant, but then also be assassins.
Yeah. That was a moment that could have happened.
Yeah.
So right now you would say ballerina, would that have been the dance to go with in this moment? Is there a different type of dance that, I mean, it should have been TikTok dance.
Well, absolutely. It shouldn't have been one specific dance.
It should have been
TikTok dancing.
Yeah.
Which can be whatever.
Yeah. That, I mean, I guess that's the tough thing is it's tough to know which TikTok dance is going to be the one that's still relevant from when you film a movie to when you release the movie, which is like, they're like, listen, ballet is going to be around in 2 years, no matter what. Ballet sticks around.
But is the Dougie still around?
Should this have been the Dougie movie where she is from birth taught to do the Dougie and also to be an assassin?
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, the Dougie, I think, has stood the test of time.
It's definitely the one that I could pull out of my brain.
Yeah.
So that means something.
Yeah. I mean, or the electric slide. I mean, that is not going
That's
anywhere.
an easy one. See, that's what I'm talking about. If you teach these girls how to electric slide,
right,
they'd be dynamite at weddings.
Yep.
And also, it leaves them so much extra time to be excellent assassins.
Yeah, because it's not as physically taxing.
Yeah.
I mean, grandmas do the electric slide every wedding.
Macarena. But electric slide, I think, is better. Because also
Macarena.
the Macarena is very simple.
Yeah, and that has stood the test of time, the Macarena. That probably is the way to go over ballet, is you have these girls, these orphans, you steal from the orphanage to make them assassins, and you teach them the Macarena.
Yeah.
And so it's Macarena Girl.
Yeah,
is the name of this movie instead of Ballerina.
Yeah.
And I think that gets more interest than ballet. I mean, I don't think people have a real great association with ballet, especially in the heartland.
They think it's boring. It's the thing that, like, when Roseanne would ask Dan why do you never take me to the ballet, he'd be like, because I sleep enough or whatever.
Yes.
If I wanted to sleep, I would go to my bedroom.
Yeah.
I mean, great jokes like that. I'm
sure
those are actual Roseanne jokes.
Yeah.
But
written by Tom Arnold.
Yeah.
Who was the head writer of the show at one point.
At one point, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. I think people don't love the ballet across the country. And, you've had movies like Black Swan, huge hit, $100 million domestic. People forget that Black Swan was a
But that wasn't called Ballerina.
It
would have done way less money if it was called Ballerina.
And it was also about a ballerina like tearing herself apart for being into ballet, so you could hate ballet and be into seeing that movie. Ballet is just not a draw. And they could have gone with any other dance. Because apparently, I mean, Aaron Moran said this, there is not much ballet in this movie.
Like, I know they had put ballerinas in a John Wick movie because the aesthetic was cool. Because they could shoot them for like a couple minutes and be like, look, these ballerinas are also assassins. Just like the newspaper guy is an assassin in John Wick, and the guy who sells you hot dogs is an assassin. Like, that's the whole thing, is everybody's an assassin in the John Wick world.
Yeah.
So these were just sort of tossed off like, oh, okay, cool. Like, these are, I think it was Angelica Houston was the person who was like, was the teacher at this school for ballerinas. And it was supposed to be just like a background thing. And then they were like, oh, this might be cool.
Right.
They didn't think like, oh, we're gonna have to call this movie Ballerina.
Right. If they knew they had a potential spinoff on their hands, they may have had Angelica Houston. Is that who it was? She was in the John Wick movie?
I think so.
They would have had a different style of dance studio for all these young assassins. That would have been more marketable than ballet. No, definitely.
It would have been a house full of influencers.
Yes.
Like one of those influencer houses.
Yes. Yeah, that would have been way more sellable, and that way then you wait until the last minute to film the dance, like a week before the movie comes out.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's all iPhone footage anyway, so it doesn't even have to be the same quality cameras that you
No.
film the rest of the movie on. And you're inserting a few shots of, oh, this is the dance that Ana De Armas does.
She was the director, and she ran the ballerina school.
Yeah. If they had thought further ahead, she would have run a school for influencers, and there's your spinoff is TikTok dancers. Yeah.
So ballerinas got no point.
Yeah. It's gonna take a real swan dive.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, next week it's gonna be How to Train Your Dragon opens, and I think that really cleans house on everything. Not that it's the same crossover, but I think all the air comes out of the room for something like Ballerina.
Because the thing about this is that if it is good and if it does what it could do, it could really have adults be into it because it's a fantasy epic.
How to Train Your Dragon.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So like you'll get the people who would otherwise see a ballerina movie.
Yeah.
To see that.
So last thing on this is I do want to read this email from our chief video game movie correspondent, Danny, of I Screen, You Scream 4. Number 4 movies. So he had this insight, and which is why he needs to be our, it's so important that we have a chief video game correspondent because we wouldn't have thought of this. He says, hey guys, nothing important to share, but as a video game, and Danny, don't sell yourself short. This is very important to share. As a video game chief correspondent, I do have to share what came out this weekend as well. Have a great week now, boys. He sends a picture of what I guess he procured this week, a Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay.
So I guess this is called the N2 Nintendo Switch. He sent a picture of the box. So I guess, did you know about this? There's a new Switch.
I didn't.
That came out this weekend. And you see on the cover of this box, Mario.
Of course.
Mario's still on the cover in 2025. Nintendo has a new device out.
Mm-hmm.
And Mario's the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess now more than ever, he's a movie star.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think that affected the box office at all? Were gamers
staying home
instead of going to see Ballerina? I don't know if Ana De Armas, where she ranks in terms of like gamer rankings.
I bet you there's 100. There's probably 200 like Twitch gamer girls that these guys like better.
Okay,
than Ana De Armas.
That they have posters on their door, not ahead of Ana De Armas posters. Yeah, and again, this is why we need to dissect a gamer.
Yeah.
We need to get them on a slab
as
soon as possible and see what's going on in their biology.
Yeah.
And
the problem with that is, though, they can't be sick or sicker than a normal gamer. They have to be somebody who was healthy because
healthy for a gamer, which is base level sick.
Which is sick, but not sick like a normal person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they can't be a terminal gamer.
Okay.
They can't be somebody who was terminal because then we will get the wrong readings and the wrong understanding of them. They have to be a median health for a gamer, which is incredibly unhealthy.
Yeah, which is dead.
Yeah.
So we have got to dissect a gamer because this is the type of question that I don't know until I get in there, and we will get in there ourselves with the tools. Yeah. We'll have doctors who, tell us, oh, maybe you should check this, but we're in there. We're the ones with the utensils opening these gamers up. Where were they on Ana De Armas? Was this something that they were excited and then, the Switch is out, so that's our number one priority?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it could have affected it. Like a brand new gaming platform coming out is usually a pretty big deal.
Well, I'll say it, and I don't know. I mean, I know it got delayed. But when the new Vice City movie, here's what we're talking. When the new Vice City video game comes out,
Mm.
that will affect society.
Yes. Yes.
In a lot of ways.
Yes.
Like not all positive. I mean, there will be, bus drivers who don't show up, and then some rookie bus driver has to drive the bus and it goes over a bridge. Like
Yeah.
those are things that are going to happen. But the thing that is pertaining to us is that whatever movie comes out that weekend
Mm-hmm.
is going to have to reckon with people wanting to play through that game immediately.
Yeah. You've got to have the right movie. It could be fine.
Yeah.
Where like the gamers were never going to be the audience.
But it
for that
can't
anyway.
be anything that they would be interested in.
No, I mean, it can't be a Five Nights at Freddy's movie opening the same weekend that the new Grand Theft Auto game comes out. And I'm sure they know that, and they,
Yeah.
But I don't know. A new gaming platform coming out this weekend, did that affect Ballerina?
I think so. I think it could.
Okay, so you
For
think maybe
sure.
there's a couple $1 million that were left in the console this weekend for the Switch? Well, yeah, very possible. No, great email there from Danny. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm just looking to see if we've got anything from the last few days that we need to go over from, of course, email us, theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Love getting your emails. We got this one from wannabe oh boy Jason. He says, "Hey guys, last episode Pat mentioned he went to Cali, had a slice of pie with Jeff Bach. Being a humble plainsbilly from Chicago, I assumed he went to a Baker's Square type place and had some apple pumpkin or maybe even a California key lime pie. It didn't sink in until later that perhaps Pat, coming from the land of the Mets, meant pizza, which makes a lot more sense. So Pat, did you have dessert or pizza? You have to break it down for us non-locals. Wannabe oh boy Jason. I did mean, and I totally get that would be the assumption, is when I say pie, I mean a pizza pie. I'm spinning the dough around on my finger and
because of your
ladling the
persuasion.
sauce. Yes, of course. I mean, listen, I famously saw Green Book and was disgusted by that movie because it was marinara face.
Yeah.
Viggo Mortensen was doing marinara face.
Yep.
And it was a disgrace.
Despicable.
But I did actually, me and Jeff Bach shared traditional dessert pie.
Yes.
Apple pie. I had a slice of apple pie. Forget what pie. He might have had some kind of banana cream slice.
Yeah.
But it was that type of pie because we had meals and a pie.
Yes.
Yeah. So so now you know. Hey guys, now you know.
So I'll just say, anytime we talk about pie in LA, it's actual pie. If we're talking about pie in New York City, we're talking about pizza.
Yes. Those are the two. The big difference between New York and LA is, of course, New York is pizza. LA, it's dessert pie.
Mm-hmm.
And New York is a bagel town, and LA is a donut town.
Yes.
When you're talking about your sort of round with hole in the middle food items.
Like, other than the pie-based holidays, do you ever eat pie ever in New York City?
Never.
Cheesecake,
Yes.
but not pie.
Not pie.
Yeah.
Not pie.
So I don't ever eat pie unless I'm in LA.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, other than Thanksgiving and,
of
and
course.
Christmas and the pie-based holidays.
Yeah, the pie-based holidays,
Yeah.
of course. So I think those are the emails we have to get through. So, of course, thank you. Emails theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on social media @theboboyspod. Wannabe VP of Interns Christopher's killing it with these vertical clips. Some great ones went up this week.
Mm-hmm.
Love those. He's doing a bang-up job as always. Follow our Substack. Subscribe to the Substack. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are YouTubers. Hey, guys. And, I mean, we had a web exclusive the other day. So there is, if you are listening
That's right.
on the podcast feed, there was a 30-minute episode of the BO Boys that you are not aware of because you're not subscribing to the YouTube
And
channel.
you're not getting the whole story.
You're not getting the whole story. We did a half-hour web-exclusive YouTube episode trailer reaction to the Wicked for Good, aka Wicked 2 trailer that just dropped. We gave our thoughts. It is never coming to this podcast feed.
No.
Only on the YouTube channel. So go to the YouTube channel, watch that episode, and subscribe.
And we'll be referencing things from that YouTube video on the main feed.
Yes.
And you will be lost.
You will be
you
lost.
do not want to be lost.
Yes. That is the direction we're going. This is going to be very confusing to people who only follow the podcast feed.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be like seeing those Marvel movies without watching the D+ shows.
Now, okay. I know why you went there.
Yeah.
That is not a good way to promote the web exclusive YouTube video.
They're like D+.
That is not.
They're like D+ superhero
No,
shows.
just don't.
It's like Miss Marvel.
No. It is. These are not like She-Hulk. These episodes are
They're
not
just like She-Hulk.
Okay. All right. We need to have a real sit down after this. And
they couldn't be more like She-Hulk.
You're gonna need to get with the program, man. You've gotta.
They're Captain America and Winter Soldier.
When we talk about the YouTube channel, I think at this point, you're going to need a script. I'm going to need to put it up on a prompter of the way in which you're able to talk about our YouTube channel.
It's like Ironheart.
Yeah,
People are so excited for Ironheart.
This is a disaster. Right now, what's happening on your side of the frame here.
Don't you want to watch the Ironheart version, like the B.O. Boys Ironheart version?
Yeah, you need to have talking points.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to need talking points for our YouTube channel, which is, of course, great and nothing like D+ Marvel shows.
Write me up a script then.
Not like that at all. Hey, guys, not like it. Not like what Clayton is saying. So, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Clayton, that's all I got. I mean, you're going to need a script, but I'm good, and that's all I got.
I finished.
Great.
There's nothing left to be said.
Definitely not, so I could leave.
Except for, until next time, we'll smell you at the box office. Nailed it. Hey, guys.